Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to this week's Be College Ready seminar. My name is Diego. I am your counselor. And this week we will be going over the ways in which you can prepare for the summer. Because, yes, soon enough, you will have to apply for college in like 7 months. Kind of scary, but that's okay. We're here as a group to figure this out. Yeah. All right. So this week we were talking about how to prepare for summer and how to boost in our um, resumes for college to apply for college and scholarships. Um, because yeah, the summer is your last big chance to be able to do that. So yeah. So this week, this week we'll be kind of tying in what we've been discussing the last couple of weeks regarding your college essays, and we'll be introducing you to them because next week you'll be writing them. But we'll get to that when we get to that. So, as always, we're going to start off with our vision and mission statements. So, our vision is to elevate people's growth mindsets so we all achieve our ambitions. Not only do we want you all to be continuously growing your mindset, we want you to keep thinking about how your mind does grow and expand in any endeavor that you're choosing to pursue. I've said this before, and I will continue to say it again. And our mission, as always, is to guide first generation high school students so that they will pursue and obtain a college education. Not only do we want you all to go to college, we also want you to get that degree because getting that degree would not only be cool, it would be, I forget what the meme was, but something related to money. There'll be money involved. And that makes the world go round, I think. Not gravity, money. So yeah, also it's really good from a first generation student standpoint. So yeah, and then of course our purpose for the Be College Ready seminars, as always, is to guide you towards being ready for college, building your portfolio to prepare for college and scholarship applications, and increasing your awareness of who you are and what direction you want to go. Excuse me. So yeah, so we want you to be college ready. We want you to be able to present information about yourself to college and scholarship applications, and to make the best decision regardless of which direction you're going into, that's going to benefit you the most in the long run. So yeah. So yes, as I mentioned, this week we're going over summer planning because it is your last chance to boost your experience. Don't know why there's a little sun with a graduation cap because y'all are juniors, but I guess technically you guys are graduating in like a year. So existentialism. So yeah. So today's session will be successful if we rethink our idea of a proactive and productive summer and understand the ways to be proactive and productive for the upcoming summer. So yeah, so typically what I've been having students in real life do is go to this Jamboard and talk about that. But for simplistic purposes, we're just going to go over some of the questions together as a group. So yeah. So looking at the UC applications, there are 8 different questions, as we've been previously discussing. And there are certain words or phrases that the UC app uses that are very unique to it that highlight the ways in which it wants students to talk about themselves. So for example, in the second question, we have every person has a creative side and it can be expressed in many ways. Problem solving, original and innovative thinking, and artistically, to name a few. Describe how you express your creative side. So what I like about this question is that it really challenges your perception of what creativity means. I think oftentimes, for example, when we think about being creative, we think of painters or artists. And while that's definitely creativity, it's not the only way in which people can express their creative side. Creativity is limitless. So that's why it says things like problem solving, original and innovative thinking, or artistically. So for example, maybe you are a person who is very artistically inclined, but you're also really interested in math and want to pursue architecture as a result. And maybe a way in which you're able to express your creative side was through not just artistically, but also original and innovative thinking. Maybe your school had like some type of structural issue and you came up with the blueprints for it and they worked out perfectly, and now your school has a better installation system or something like that. Obviously it doesn't have to be that, like that's a very specific example, but that's just to give you all an idea of how to reevaluate your thinking. And that isn't to say that all of you should do the creative question, only do the ones that you want to, but there is a way in which you can think about it that exceeds just typical ideas behind painting and whatnot. So yeah, as well, another question that I think is really interesting is the think about an academic subject that inspires you. Describe how you have furthered this interest inside and or outside of the classroom. So not only do they want students to talk about an academic subject that inspires them, keyword inspire, something that uplifts them, something that's going to provide them with a sense of hope and, high expectation. Um, so not only are they asking you to think about that, but they also want you to talk about how you furthered this interest. Did you maybe take a class on political science? Did you maybe teach your local community, I don't know, math? Were you a tutor? Things like that. So how have you furthered this interest inside and or outside of the classroom? That's always really important to be thinking about. So yeah, so that's kind of the way that the UC personal insight questions tackle. They're much more based on experiences and ways in which you have addressed your student commitments. Whereas with the Common App questions, as we mentioned last week, the private schools are much more focused on your quirks and personality as a human being. So some of the ways in which we can see that is, for example, we're seeing here, the word reflect comes up a lot. Now, why is this important? Because, well, think about the differences between reflecting and thinking. Do you have a difference? There is. Thinking is just the act of recollecting and remembering something. Whereas reflecting, you're not only remembering it, you're also extrapolating some type of good out of it, some type of moral or coming up to a conclusion out of it. So that's why using the word reflect is really important, because it insinuates that you're going to have something that came out of that. So you have questions like reflect on a time when you questioned or challenged a belief or idea. What prompted your thinking? What was the outcome? They want specifics. They want to know what was the inciting action that challenged one of the beliefs or ideas that you had, and the ways in which you think about the world. So that's definitely one way of looking at the Common App. And remember, you only have to do one. Or here you're having share an essay on any topic of your choice. It can be one you've already written, one that responds to a different prompt, or one of your own design. So there you're given a lot of creative liberties to just share an essay. And I think that that's definitely something like to be admired. So yeah. And then with the Coalition App, now remember that the Coalition App has three main goals with the schools that it's aligned with. There are schools that are aimed towards assisting and promoting low-income first-generation students, providing financial responsibility, and providing, looking at your success in and beyond college. So that's the thing with the Coalition App to keep in mind. So for example, here you have questions like, or here, the framing of this question is much more different. Excuse me. Compared to the last question, which asks you to challenge about a way in which your beliefs are challenged. It asks you, what is a long cherished or accepted belief that you had, and how did you respond? So so maybe like your belief, you don't necessarily think too much of it, but it's just something that you've always appreciated, something that you've always cherished, something that you've always just had a really high respect for. Whereas when using words like accepted belief insinuate that it's something that you just kind of took, something that you just always accepted as norm, as a norm. How was that challenged? Maybe you never thought about it prior. As you can see, the framing of the questions, while similar, also have different nuances to them. So that's definitely something to think about when it comes to the Coalition App. And once again, the Coalition App, I would say, also focuses a lot more on your contributions, despite the issues that you've faced. So you're also saying the questions like, what is the hardest part about being a student now? What's the best part? Is it the pandemic? Is it societal issues? Is it inequalities you face? Is it the curriculum? What is it? Or of course, you can submit another essay on a topic of your choice. So once again, they definitely want to focus on you a bit more and learning about who you are as a person and who you are personality-wise, which I think is great. So yeah, so those are the three college essays looked at in depth. We're going to skip over the break. There we go. So as we are approaching this next phase of our lives, by ours, I mean yours, it's important to ask yourself, who are you? So knowing yourself is the best place to start as you're taking these next few steps forward. So take some time to understand your specialties. So what are your specialties? These are the subjects, crafts, or skills that you have a specific niche for. Something that you have a specialty in. So this can be something like music or art or soccer, chemistry, leadership, etc. It's just something that you specifically have a special kinship to. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I don't know why I'm so tired. So yeah. So what do you value? Now y'all should have an idea of your values. Now we're not asking for you to have an insanely nuanced philosophical understanding of what your values are as a human being. But it is important to note that everyone does have values. So whether this be your family, do you value being alone? Do you value independence? Do you value the opinions of others? Um, do you value criticism? Do you value critique? Do you value reading? Do you value education? What are your values? Because everyone values something specifically. So, and then finally, where are you heading? You should also have a sense of direction. We're not asking you to commit to a 10-year plan where you have everything articulately laid out, explaining the different ways in which you are preparing for like law school in 10 years. That's not what the point of this is. But at the same time, you should also you shouldn't not have any plans. You should have some type of idea of what it is you want to do in these next few phases of your life. What direction do you want to start heading into? Even if it's not the one you commit to, at least have some type of background. So yeah, there we go. So this is some great advice that is really going to be crucial to any type of interview, college statement that you are writing, and that is to show, not tell. So as you can see, this kid is showing his magic, but not telling. Why? Because being able to provide physical, tangible evidence is a great way of showing your involvement in something or what you've gained out of your experiences. So this is especially important because you are trying to stand out amongst the rest of your peers. College has never been more competitive. And now we're definitely seeing that with the lowering of acceptance rates and whatnot. So it's definitely important to consider all of this. So one of the ways in which you can show and not tell is through numbers. Numbers rule. Numbers are great. Now, by this, I don't mean give them like an equation talking about your ability for success all the time, but rather it's much more powerful for you to say something along the lines of, I help through my involvement in student body government. I was able to raise me and 67% of the remaining senior class were able to fundraise enough money for our senior trip to Disneyland. Versus something like, oh, me and the rest of my class made a lot of money, and with that, we went on a trip. I gave you a specific quantity, I give you a percentage, and that just represents how much you were able to contribute. Am I going to say that you're going to have all these percentages all the time? No, but if you're able to quantify something, it really helps to indicate how much you have participated in it. Same thing kind of applies for accomplishments and recognitions. So accomplishments and measurements are always going to make you stand out. And it's proof that you know what you're going for. It shows that you have visions with goals and that you actively plan to achieve those goals. So awards and recognitions help too, but only if it's something separate from your group. A participation certificate for a program is not standing out. It just shows you were in the program. Now, being student of the year for that program or most improved, that shows that you have been going above and beyond rather than just being in the program. So that's definitely something to keep in mind as well. So what does a proactive and productive summer in 2022 look like to you? So as I mentioned, it's, we're getting to that point where it's almost the end of your junior year. So it's time to really think about what you can do this summer to capitalize off of that time and do the best that you can, now that you're approaching this phase of your life. So when it comes to these types of activities, it's important to think about the future folks. So future folks are important figures in your life who are going to be judging you. And I don't mean this in the like, oh my God, you're ugly. No, I mean judging and like assessing and evaluating what it is that you've done with your time in school. So these folks are college admissions officers or even future employers. They want to see what students are doing inside and outside of the classroom. This includes how students are spending their summer breaks. So colleges want to see students engaging in their core interests, and continuing their current activities even when school isn't in session. So for a lot of students, this can include securing a summer job or an internship related to their interests. Maybe you're continuing a club or an after school activity, or maybe you're even attending a summer program. Students should definitely, scholars, y'all should definitely start planning your summer as soon as you can, especially if you're looking to attend the summer program, because a lot of application deadlines for those programs are as early as March. So look into them. There's always something out there. So how are you being evaluated from your future folks? So there are 5 main ways in which you are being evaluated. And we'll get to that. So starting off is leadership. So leadership is the actions you take and not the positions that you hold. You can be a club president, but that doesn't make you a great president. You can have terrible leadership if you don't know how to work with people, for example. So it's important to recognize that people in positions other than the president can also be leaders as well. You can be supporting and mentoring your peers. You can be coming up with ideas for improvement. You can even just be the person that's cleaning up after meetings. You're finding a way to empower people or inspire others or lead change and facilitate it, or sharing a vision with someone. That's what leadership is. You know, you can be the president of as many clubs as you want, but if you can't say that you gained anything out of those clubs, what was the point of you participating in them in the first place? The same thing applies for just any type of commitment. Speaking of commitments, long-term commitments are another way in which your future folks can evaluate you. So one way for colleges to see how important your commitments are to you is how long you've been involved with them. So you should all have like a few activities that you've stuck with over the years. So whether it's like soccer or debate, some religious youth group, a club, a job, etc. It's nice to see a list that encompasses commitments within and outside of your school and community, because people can assume that you've been involved with an activity for a while, um, and if that's something that you genuinely care about, that is going to be shown and it will be illuminated. So yeah, long-term commitments really do show how much you were physically and presently there, to be engaged with that. So next we have a very important concept that I want you all to understand. So the specialist versus the generalist. So being a specialist makes you stand out. You know, doing a lot but not doing anything really that great does not bring you anything in the long run. It's okay if you have one or two interests that you want to pursue deeply. If debate is your thing, make sure you find lots of ways to explore it. Youth in government, debate club, competitions, mentoring younger debates, writing an opinion column in the paper, etc. But that doesn't mean you also can't switch. If you realize that you don't have an interest in biology, then take ownership of your decision and choose another specialty to explore. That's okay. We all have things that we are specifically really tied to. Even for as many extracurricular activities as you do, there's always the ones that stick out to you just a bit more. That's what makes you a specialist. So does this mean that being a generalist is a bad thing? Not necessarily, but it's a lot stronger for you to have those specialties. Does that mean you shouldn't also include those other commitments and only the ones that you're really passionate about? No, that's not what we're saying. What we're saying is that if you have something that you are particularly interested and good at, that should be your specialty. That should be the thing that you really focus on, that you want to hone in on in your college application or interview or job resume or etc. So yeah. Initiative. So this is also tied to leadership. So what are you doing in the activities that you are involved in? You attend a seminar every week because we're telling you to, But you can choose to speak up and engage in discussions. That's initiative. You can choose to help clean up the tutoring room after hours. That's initiative. You know, demonstrating an instance of a time or way you showed initiative is important to college application. If you're in a club right now that's not very active, what can you do to make it more interesting and extend its impact? For example, if you and your friends are interested in poetry and photography, can you start a literary magazine? If you're noticing that, there's a issue regarding, I don't know, maybe people don't have equitable access to lunch, like school lunch, start a petition or start a campaign to make sure people have access to food, to school lunch. How are you just going above and beyond rather than just being there? You know, like even members of organizations or players in sports, not all of them just have to be sideline positions. You can be there and enacting that change. So your activities are a reflection of your interests and priorities, and therefore are an indication of the potential person you could be in your new community. Colleges want to bring students to campus who will not only help to make new things happen, but also to keep current things going. They want to look at the pool, and they want to pick out the students who they think are going to really be able to bring out their potential and their capabilities if brought to that environment. So that's what potential means in this case. So those are the 5 different factors that you are evaluated on. So how do you exactly put any of that to use and create an impactful summer? So you can start off with summer programs. So many organizations and clubs out there offer programs focused on specific topics for high school students. The purpose is to help you to develop your interests and increase your understanding and skills of that subject matter. The best part is that you're surrounded by like-minded students who want to be there, who want to develop their understanding of the world and the specific interests that they have. So yeah, summer programs are a great way of exercising that. College courses and programs. So many colleges and universities across the country offer summer programs and classes for high school students. These intensive academic programs allow high school students to take college level courses, experience living on campus, meet students with the same interests from around the country, and you can often earn college credit. So this is a great way for you to be able to experience the college life before that, and even figuring out whether or not that's a university that you're interested in attending. So definitely think about that. Community college classes and online courses. So taking community college classes are a great way to explore your interest in the subject matter. So you can challenge, they're also great challenging yourself academically and getting college credits, which is a great way of building up units for university, and getting out certain requirements and being able to take the courses related to your major a little more quickly. Even better, most high schools will help you take classes for free through concurrent enrollment. So just talk to your school counselor. Sites like Coursera, EDX, and Academic Earth also offer free and low fee courses on topics such as bio, business, technology, law, history, and physics. Lectures, quizzes, and tests are available online for students to complete at their own pace. So while these may not qualify for college credit, you will find a massive amount of topics to learn out there in the world, and these can start developing your understanding of college classes. Keep in mind as well that if you do enroll in community college courses, your list might be a bit smaller compared to regular university, just because, of course, they prioritize for community college students. And you should really only take the course if you think you're going to gain something out of it. So yeah. Internships and jobs. So internships and jobs are an excellent way to gain hands-on experience in the field that you may want to pursue in college and afterwards. So opportunities at labs and local colleges can give high school students research experience, which will help them identify academic interests and stand out in college applications. So whether you're a student interested in medicine or journalism, reaching out to an organization for an internship can open doors in many professional industries. For summer jobs, take ownership of your role. If you work at Target, it may be difficult to develop your interests if you wish for your specialty to be biology. But that means that you take an initiative to develop your skills like leadership and build a relationship with peers and supervisors. So there's always something good that you can take out of that. Community service, probably the easiest thing that you can do to build your resume. So use your summer vacation to spend more time on a meaningful community service project to which you may not have the time to sustain consistent commitment during the school year. So find a cause that you believe in and develop your understanding of service. People who are giving tend to live a more fulfilling life, you know? So like I said, this is the most effective and easiest thing that you can do to build your resume. Um, you can grab just a couple friends and go and pick up bottles and trash like at the park on weekends. That's the best way. My advice when it comes to community service, make sure you're logging your hours. Please have your hours logged. So all of that brings us to the idea of references. So these are people who know your ethics and values, they know your work quality, they respect you, and they like you. This is especially important to consider because these are the people who job employers or college admissions officers can call or email or get into some type of contact and can reach out and ask more about you. These are people who are going to advocate and vouch for you. So whether that be a coach, an advisor, a teacher, someone like Audi, etc. You don't have to do any of these things alone. And these people are those who observed your growth and the best qualities that you're able to bring out through your commitments. Yeah. So we bring all this up to have you think about what you're going to do this summer. And that is because, ding, 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 your assignment for the month is to apply to at least 2 summer activities. So I say for the month because it's due, originally this was going to be due by the end of March. However, we think we're going to give you guys an additional week or 2. So once I know the official due date, I will be slacking all of you scholars so that you know when to submit this or like when it is due. But yeah, so we expect you to apply to at least 2 summer activities, and we are asking all of you to research and apply to at least 2. So complete your applications or map out your plans by the end of the month. So that brings us to the end of today's session. So of course, all my info is there, and 2 brief announcements before we close off the meeting. So next week we will be starting on your PIQs, your personal insight questions. So yes, we're starting on writing your college essays because it's better to knock them out now than waiting last minute. So we will be starting that next week, and as well, remember to apply to 2 summer programs at the very least by the end of March. Once I have a deadline, I will be sure to inform you all. But yeah, so that brings us to the end of today's meeting. I hope you are all having a wonderful day. If you have questions, please feel free to Slack or email me, and I will see you all next week. Bye-bye.